Hey fellow tennis nerds, I hope all is well. One of the most common questions I've been getting recently is where does the Boom rackets fit into the whole Head series of rackets? I mean, Head is famous now for having the most rackets out of all the manufacturers. They have 6 silos, they call them, going from Prestige to Gravity to Radical to Speed to Extreme to now Boom, which is, as I presume, replacing Instinct. So they have a lot of rackets. They have maybe 4 or 5 rackets per silo. We're talking about 25 to 30 different tennis rackets. And then they have the PVR lines usually to add to that. The PVR is more kind of a veteran style, shorter swing, you get more power, oversized rackets. So they usually have like MP, MPL now, S, it used to be called, I think they're changing that to the MP Lite. They have the Tour and they have the Pro. So they have quite a few rackets of each silo. And if we talk through them in power ranking to figure out where Boom fits in, it's pretty logical. It's Prestige. It's the most low-powered, best touch frame. They do have the different names now. They've changed the naming. Check out my Prestige rackets review from 2021, just a few weeks ago, I guess. You can check that out and figure out the new naming where the MP has become the Pro and so on. But they have the Pro, the MP, the Tour, and the MP Lite from the Prestige lineup. And then you have the Gravity. The Gravity is still low powered but offers more plow through control with a bigger sweet spot. You have the Pro, you have the Tour, you have the MP, and the S as well. First, Prestige, low power. Gravity, still low power but a little bit bigger sweet spot, a little bit more forgiveness. We then move on to Radical, which is the most versatile frame, kind of in the middle of the whole Head range. Supposed to give you control, a little bit of power, a little bit of everything, a little bit of touch. Not too stiff, not too flexible, kind of falls in the middle range. We have the Radical Pro, the Radical MP, then you have the Radical S. We don't have a Radical Tour, which would be interesting to see maybe in the future, but it's not like we need more rackets. From the Radical, we go to the Speed. We get from 98 square inch rackets to 100 square inch racket with the Speed MP, 300 gram, typical tweener style. Power, but not all the way power, some power and spin, but still with a thinner beam, a bit lower power, kind of a middle ground racket with a bigger head size than the Radical. So we have the Speed MP for a bit more power, and then the Speed Pro for a bit less power and a bit more weight on it as well. From the Speed, we go to the Extreme. We're talking spin, spin, spin. It's all about spin. You're thinking of aero rackets, for example. These have spin technologies. They have the Extreme Pro for the most control while still power. They have the Extreme MP, which is the most powerful of the bunch, but also the Extreme Tour, which is a bit of a unique feeling frame that I really enjoy, which I talked about frequently on this YouTube channel. So the Extreme Tour is more like a Prestige style racket with some extreme characteristics, a bit more power, a bit more spin friendly. So then the Extreme going then to what used to be the Instinct is now the Boom. So the Boom is the most powerful line of rackets. The MP has a 600 CPI. Compare that to the Prestige Pro of 2021, which has 200 CPI, and you start to get kind of the whole power scale. So the Head power scale is going from 100 to 1000, and 1000 where you will find the PVR rackets, the oversized rackets, the really aggressively powerful ones, while a Boom MP, which is a pretty powerful racket, but not all the way to a Pure Drive, for example, the Boom MP has a 600 CPI scale. The Boom Pro has a 500 CPI scale. So the CPI scale will give you some information of where in the power ranking your racket is from Head. So that's pretty helpful, and it's well needed when you're adding so many rackets to the lineup. There are 6 silos, as I said, and they all have 4 or 5 rackets. So it's a bunch of rackets. And if we're talking head sizes from Head, it can make your head spin, pun intended. You have just 98 square inch rackets. You have the Radical Pro, the Radical MP, you have the Prestige Pro, you have the Extreme Tour, you have now the Boom Pro. Yeah, I probably forgot one of them, but it's getting there. It's quite a few rackets you have to consider when you're looking into a 98 square inch 1619 head rackets. Quite a bunch of rackets. Same with 100 square inch. All the Gravity, Tour, Pro, and MP are 100 square inch. Speed Pro and Speed MP, 100 square inch. Extreme MP, Extreme Pro 100 square inch, and the Boom MP also 100 square inch. So Head offers a lot of selection to choose from, can be hard to navigate, can be a jungle. I think they have the strategy that they want to offer like a really wide selection, so you can find your niche within the Head family. You can maybe transition within different rackets. Maybe you start with a speed and then you move to a radical, or you might start with a boom and you want more control, you go to an extreme, or even to a speed, and so on. I think they want to have that kind of transitional landscape, that if you start with Head rackets, you want to stay your whole tennis playing lifetime within the Head family. And I think that makes sense in a way. So I completely understand the strategy, but it can be confusing for us tennis nerds and just average tennis players who want to find a racket for us. Which one should we go for? I've done a video about Head tennis rackets on this channel already. You can check that one out, where I go through the silos before the Boom. The Boom kind of replaces the Instinct, so it's not a huge change. I feel like this one is a bit more low powered, a bit more comfortable. I think it's an improvement overall from what was offered in the Instinct lineup. So I think it's a good and interesting replacement and addition to the Head family of rackets. But it's difficult sometimes to understand without testing all these rackets which one would fit you. But I hope some of these descriptions will help you on the right path. And some rackets overlap, and that's something I'll look into in the future, maybe with some comparison. For example, the Prestige MP Lite. It's a 99 square inch, 21.5 millimeter beam racket, 300 grams. What makes that different from like the 1 square inch larger Speed MP, for example? And how does it compare to the Boom MP? How does all these rackets compare? And it's something I'll get into maybe one-on-one, or look into, you know, a number of Head comparisons in a future video. So I'm keen now to know, which Head rackets do you wonder about? Like, which kind of comparisons would you like me to focus on in a future video? I completely understand that these things are very complicated and confusing. I can sometimes get confused myself, although I do this all the time and I've been doing it for years. But comparing a Speed MP to a Prestige MP Lite, to a Boom Pro, to a Gravity MP, you know, it can make your head spin. So I'm keen to know, what racket should I focus on? What kind of rackets do you want to see compared? I've already done some, you know, more control-oriented rackets, like the Radical Pro versus the Prestige MP, the Gravity Pro versus the Prestige MP from 2019. And I hope you enjoyed those. It seems like you did. So what kind of comparisons do you want me to do from now on? So that's where the Boom is, and that's a little bit about the Head rackets. There's a bunch of them. It can be confusing. Let me know which ones I should dive into. Thanks for watching, and if you want to support me, check out patreon.com/tennisnerd, where you can get more content and you have a messaging function with me, and you can also please buy something from the affiliates. The links are in the description. Check out Top Court, Swing Vision, and the Tennis Warehouse, for example, through my links. And yeah, if you want to subscribe, I would be very happy if you did. Please turn on notifications and all that jazz. Have a nice day now, and don't forget to play some tennis.